and welcome back to this week's Kram.
I'm Kalani Cruz.
And I'm H-Man.
Lots of big changes have been occurring on a global scale. As you've probably seen in the news lately, Russia has decided to follow through in their invasion of Ukraine.
Nearby, we've been having protests in the defense of Ukraine in the no-fly zone. Here at Rampart, one of our own students is from Ukraine, and we decided to interview her and her family on their take on the situation, along with some of the Denver protesters.
On February 24th, Russia launched a large-scale attack on Ukraine, which not only affects people around the world, but also affects students here at Rampart. Here we have a Ukrainian transfer student, Anastasiia Kuravska, and this is her story.
In Ukraine, it was a really beautiful place to grow up. There's nice people, nice community. My family moved here to give me and my sister a good opportunity, like education and work.
We arrived here 6 years ago with kids. He was first and we arrived after him.
Even during this time, she manages to contact her family in Ukraine every day.
Since war started, I call them almost every day, but it's also dangerous to call them.
It's dangerous
for the soldiers to discover his
soldier who was fighting in this moment right now.
That can discover his position. The people from our country concerned about his phone, because the Russian military looking for through the special devices, special things, looking where is a lot of people, and try to fight.
Local activists and Ukraine natives formed a protest at the capital in Denver with the goal to bring support to Ukraine.
You can go to a protest which gonna be this week on Saturday in the Denver. They have in a Facebook page where you can basically see it there.
What really motivated, and I was here last week too, is watching Russian people, thousands upon thousands of them, get arrested just for peacefully protesting. I thought, well, this is the least I can do.
I am very touched how Ukraine united so many nations, so many people. There are people here who are not a Ukrainian. There are Russian people, Belarus, Kazakhstan, Iran. So I think Putin is not just fighting against Ukraine, he's fighting against the whole world.
It's more of a rally than a protest. We are here gathered to raise some money to help with the medicine and armament of Ukrainian people. We're coordinating with local nonprofit organization, the Ukrainians of Colorado. Last time we had over 300 people, the press, and good exposure. And I had a lot of people reach out, and I put together some volunteers. We have 15 to 20 volunteers at this point.
Despite her previous lifestyle in Ukraine, Anastasiia is happy to find herself not alone here in Colorado.
When I moved here, I didn't expect to see Ukrainian people. That's really surprising.
I'm here to support my country, support my people. Physically, I'm here, but my heart is there. Last 2 weeks has been the hardest 2 weeks in my life.
I'm a Ukrainian American. I've moved to the United States back in '09, so this is my country. So we're here to support Ukrainians on the ground and ask the United States and NATO countries to do all they can to help with defensive weapons and capabilities for Ukraine to stand to that aggression. Probably there's a lot of information now on the internet that you can see, unless you live in Russia, of course, where internet, that information is pretty limited, right, or suppressed.
Just share the information so everyone will see what's going on.
Students should to know that situation, what's going on. Don't close your eyes, don't close your ears. So you should to read and understand what's going on. This is war.
Read all information what you can read. Your Google search and found some information regarding
history.
You can watch history and you will know what's going on.
Consider supporting the Ukraine Rams and stay aware of world events. This has been Benjamin Ray reporting for KRAM.
Be sure to show your support to those around you affected by these hard times.
Recently, Rampart hosted its annual Mr. and Mrs Rampart competition between select students as a chance for them to showcase their unique talents.
With the school year coming to an end, there are lots of events that are happening. Mr. and Mrs Rampart is a senior talent show that happens in the auditorium. There are many people who participated this year. KRAM wanted to see what Mr. and Mrs Rampart is.
Mr. and Ms. Rampart is a senior-only talent show that we have at the end of the year to highlight all of our seniors and their talents and their spirit and everything that they did to embody Rampart in the past 4 years.
It's basically this sort of senior talent show, as I understand it, where the seniors who are competing in it will bring a talent or some kind of funny skit and then just compete to see who wins.
I don't know when it was first started, but I know that it's been around for a while.
Kram reached out to the student body president to see how an event like Mr. and Mrs. Rampart is put together by student council.
Mr. and Ms. Rampart has a lot of layers to it because we have to get the students' opinions on which seniors they want to be in the talent show. So we have to take a poll on all the seniors and see what they want. We have to fill out building forms. We have to talk to Ms. Robbins about using the auditorium. We have to set up the microphones. And then we have to make sure that every single participant knows what they're doing. Because for Mr. and Ms. Rampart, there's usually 3 sections. There's a spirit wear, talent, and formal wear. And so we just let them know this is the categories, this is how you do it, and then we just kind of give it to them.
Jackson Champagne participated in Mr. and Mrs. Rampart and shared why events like this are important to the school and the community.
I don't think school is like a paradise, so when I think the school plans events like this that are supposed to bring the school community together, and especially like the senior class, it's like an I made it type thing, I think it's really important that we all participate and we all watch and we all enjoy it because it's what brings us together. It's a thing keeping our community alive, and I think it's really cool that the school does stuff like this.
Kram wanted to interview the winners of Mr. and Mrs. Rampart to see how their acts went.
Well, I won. So good.
I won Mr. and Mrs. Rampart, so now I am Miss Rampart. I think all of my performances were pretty good. I didn't mess up on any of them, which was really nice.
This has been Jeffrey Monty, signing off.
If you see Jackson Champagne or Annalise Pena in the hall, congratulate them on their victory.
Sophie Franko has her own business creating and selling her own handmade bracelets.
Kram decided to take a closer look at this young entrepreneur and everything that goes into making a business behind the scenes.
A simple way to spice up any outfit is with a cute bracelet. A student here at Rampart, Sophie Franko, started her own bracelet business over quarantine in 2020 called Wrist Swag.
My business is called Wrist Swag, and I basically make friendship bracelets, and they're custom made. So on my Instagram where I sell them, I have all these patterns, and then if you message me, I can like do whatever colors you want.
They're just like the normal handmade bracelets with knots out of string.
Sophia had many reasons to start up her business, including her desire to share her passion and faith with others.
So I started after quarantine just because I made a lot of bracelets and I wanted to sell them. With every bracelet, I give out a little note card with a watercolor handwritten Bible verse, and I really just do that because I wanted to be able to spread God's word through making bracelets and just have people be able to wear my bracelets and be reminded that God loves them.
Sophia spends a lot of time perfecting her bracelets and even donates some of the earnings to a good cause as well.
Well, one bracelet takes 3 days to make, depending on how much time she spends on it, but she does really advanced patterns and stuff.
My family too, and a cool thing is that I give 10% of my profit to help children, foster children or orphan children.
Past Wrist Swag customers report feeling satisfied with not only the products, but the customer service as well.
I wanted to support a small business, and I know she goes to Rampart, and so I thought it'd be really cool just to interact with someone in our own community. She's a really nice person, and the bracelets were really cool.
If you're looking for some new bling, consider checking out the Wrist Swag Instagram account. This has been Bono, reporting for Kram.
To support a fellow Ram, feel free to talk to Sophie about purchasing one of her handcrafted bracelets.
2 students, Celine Bono and Aahana, have recently started a new weekly podcast that covers their opinions on political topics and high-interest relevant subjects. Kram decided to ask them for more information on their podcast.
Rampart students have many hobbies and extracurricular activities that they are involved with. Kram looks into a couple of students who are inspiring change within our communities.
We started our podcast in the summer before the school year, so I don't remember exactly the month, but we've been doing it for not an entire year, but like kind of close to a year, like I'd say like 8 months maybe.
I started coming up with the idea for it like at the beginning of last year, and it was kind of just a result of like quarantine and just seeing a lot of like misinformation and like being like necessarily like, clueless about things that were happening in the world. So I felt like it was like a idea. I just wanted to help people have an easier way to understand things. And then I started talking to my friend Celine about it, and eventually we were like, we should do this because I think it would be really helpful to a lot of people like us.
We started it because we both felt like we wanted to like have a platform to talk about like issues that we feel like aren't talked about enough. Like Aahana, who's like my partner who I do it with, she had like come up with an idea like beforehand, and then we were like talking about it. Like it was super random on like FaceTime. We were talking about like podcasts or something, and she's like, oh yeah, I've always wanted to like make a podcast, like, and she had this whole like plan and stuff, and I was like, that's really cool, we should like do this.
As hosts on the podcast, both Celine and Aahana cover a wide range of topics ranging from politics to personal discussions in their podcasts.
We don't do many like controversial topics. We mostly just like kind of discuss like political things from like a non-biased standpoint, just like kind of giving the facts, because we don't want to like, you know, influence people or like make their opinions for them.
We made an episode on like Black Lives Matter. We talked about just kind of like things that affect kids. We also talk about like finance sometimes and like health issues like vaping. And then we just have like fun topics. Every Friday we just kind of talk about like lighthearted fun topics, like whatever, like TV shows, movies, stuff like that.
We discuss like everything, honestly. We have a lot of like conversations that I feel like are important for teens to know, but I also like really like enjoy talking about more political topics. I think it's fun for me to talk about specifically like just like things that are happening like Russia and Ukraine right now, all sorts of stuff like that. We cover so many things, it's kind of hard to say.
Kram asked some of the students who've listened to the We Are podcast about their opinion on the podcast.
I started listening to the podcast around the time Celine and Aahana joined Speech and Debate. So I like got to know them, and then they told me that they had this awesome podcast about like social issues and things like that. So I started listening to it.
It was actually really good. I started listening to it recently, just one episode. They really bounced off of each other really well, and they were knowledgeable about the subject.
I think it's a great podcast. I really like the way that both Aahana and Celine speak and the way that they like deliver these things and talk about these social issues. I think it's really intelligent.
They bounce off each other really well, as I said before. They researched the topics beforehand, so there wasn't any awkward silence. They were, again, very knowledgeable about the subject. I was surprised, actually.
Celine and Aahana would like to inform Rampart on where they can find more information about them and their podcast.
So people can find out about our podcast by going to Spotify and looking up the We Are podcast by Celine and Aahana. We also have an Instagram page for it. We have a website, which is weare_youth.org. We have a Pinterest. Like we just have like practically everything. So you could go check those out.
The We Are podcast is inspiring awareness and change throughout Rampart and its community. Rams, make sure to go show your support for Celine and Aahana and their.
Be sure to tune in to their next episode.
The girls' tennis season has just begun after finishing tryouts last week.
Kram talked to the team about their goals for the season.
Here at Rampart High School, we have some amazing student athletes, including the girls' tennis team. Kram went out and asked them why they play tennis.
I joined because I love the sport. I've been playing for a year, and I think the community is great, and just meeting new people at Rampart makes the sport even better.
Joined tennis because I've been playing for 5.5 years. I love the sport. It's a great community. I think it really brings together a lot of girls, and it's also just super fun to play.
Well, I've been one of the tennis coaches, one of the assistant coaches for the past 5 years, and this year I decided to take on the varsity girls tennis team. I'm really excited. We've got one of the largest teams we've ever had, 40 girls, and I also did coach as an assistant coach for boys tennis, but it's going to be a lot of fun this year because we have some really experienced girls and some really new girls, and just love to see so much enthusiasm. So I'm very excited about this season.
Though the girls' season just started, they decided to share with Kram their hopes for the season, as well as why you should join tennis next year.
Definitely either to get on JV or varsity, and then, win games, have fun, and make friends, yeah.
I'm hoping that, obviously that we win all our matches, and I hope my goal is to go to state.
Definitely, because even if you're a beginner or if you've played for a long time, I think first practice was yesterday. I had a lot of fun. I met a lot of new people, and the coaches are great. It's a great community. I definitely recommend joining.
I definitely recommend tennis. It's a no-cut sport, so it's not as stressful.
So tennis is a great sport that you can start at any age. It's not like a sport that you have to have started when you were really young in a league. You can pick up tennis as a freshman, a sophomore, a junior, or a senior. And we will help you learn the game. It's also a no-cut sport. So if you want something different, or if you play another sport and you just want to try something else, it's a great sport to try.
Good luck, ladies. This has been Maddie Spooner reporting for KRAM.
Be sure to watch out for upcoming games to support our girls in tennis.
That's all for this week's KRAM.
Have a great day and stay safe, Rams. I'm gonna cry.
I'm doing great. I don't.
Yeah, you are.
I'm
You're
doing
doing
fantastic.
awesome. I can't wait when you get the same amount.
Of what? That's words! Oh, okay.
Good morning, Krams, and welcome back to this week's KRAM.
Cheers, good morning, KRAMs. Welcome to this week's KRAM.
I'm going to sleep. Good night.
Okay, sleep tight. You like the nails?
I'm just so good at this.